In a world surrounded by darkness, there is a light. A light like no other light. It is the light found inside of the bunker. From the place that Delete is shooting from. Because Delete has a lot of light behind him. Compared to Finn, who's in a green screen and you see nothing besides whatever is back here, which is just a bunch of gray. But Delete is the light. Delete has the light. And everybody, don't go towards the light because Delete's kind of a scary person. I met him in person. You don't want to meet him. This is a really bad. It's just, yeah.
I do that. I'm an intimidating figure.
You are. You are. It's very intimidating. But we are here for another episode of The Bunker. I am Finity, and I am joined, of course, by that man right there, Mr. Delete.
What up, everybody?
And I hope everyone is having a great week. We have some announcements that we're going to make regarding The Bunker and the changes that we kind of alluded to last week. So we'll talk a little bit about that. We also had a developer feedback. So we'll talk a little bit about what we saw in that and ultimately if we thought it was anything kind of worthwhile. So a bunch of things for us to talk about here. So if you guys are in chat, you guys can go ahead and type something in chat. We will give you guys a shout out. I see Aerith is already here. Hello there, Mama Gas. How are you doing, Aerith? Glad to have you here. We are just going to chill. We're going to have a good evening here and talk a little bit about the developer feedback and talk a little bit about some of the stuff that's going to be coming in the reformatted bunker. So a little bit of an announcement on that. I'll go ahead and start that because I know Delete had to step away for 1 minute. So we talked a little bit last week about the fact that the bunker is going to be on a little bit of a break. And then we will be back on July 9th with kind of a reformatted bunker. We'll talk a little bit about that. And hello, Froggy. How are you? Froggy with the eyes just watching. I mean, that's exactly what we want. We want you here with them eyes. Because if you're here with your mouth, I am not sure I am going to taste any different than your monitor. So be here with your eyes. Be here with your ears. I don't think your mouth and tongue are gonna work. I'm not sure. Unless you have, is there like a lick monitor? Like a monitor that gives you different taste based on what you're watching? At some point they're gonna have that. They're gonna have a monitor that provides you all 5 senses. But right now, the monitor is only 1 unless you have speakers attached, then it's 2. Potentially 3 if you count touch, but no one's really like touching it. It's not like Braille. So I feel like it's only 2 senses you can potentially get from a monitor that has this like inbuilt speaker. That's what I don't know any that helps with this with touch, with taste, and
I don't know. We're getting very Ready Player One, which is a pretty solid movie and a pretty good book. Not for nothing.
Ooh, VR version of survival State of Survival. That'd be kind of neat.
That would be pretty intense.
Not
gonna lie.
That would. Can you imagine being Becca? How many people? Okay, let's do the analytics of what angle you're looking at things from your VR headset. Straight down. I'm just saying.
Oh.
I'm just saying. You know it's gonna be there. You know it's gonna happen. As much as you laugh now, you know it's true. It's gonna be like, oh, I'm gonna play as Becca. Nah.
Probably more of a Rusty. Giant gut, just singing awful, saying crazy stuff.
Awesome. Okay. So this brings us to something I was gonna talk about, which is kind of a reformatted bunker that we're gonna have. By the way, let me shout out everyone. I stopped at Froggy because of his eyes, and his eyes distracted me. If you have not seen me stream, I get very distracted. I go on tangents. You just have to stick with me. I'll eventually get there. It might take a little bit of time, but I'll get there. So I'm back on. Tal saying, hi guys, Delete's got that Tiger Woods vibes happening with that shirt. It's true. Next time you have to wear a red polo.
I used to, I put on a little bit of weight. I don't know, probably like 4 or 5 years ago, and I used to get teed up a lot, actually,
Ooh,
a lot.
that's not bad. I mean, there's worse people
Hey,
you could get compared to.
seriously.
Hmm.
Wow, hey, it's a billionaire.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
Mako is here. Says the fin does not taste like snozberries. Well,
Mm,
I have to work on that. I'll need to get some snozberries for my snozberries.
yeah, yeah. You're gonna have to step that game up.
Yes, I do. I have to step up my snozberry game. Aerith is saying it's a great book and a blah movie. I've heard that too.
Yeah,
I've heard Ready Player One is a much better book than it is a movie. So that's
so,
definitely
I mean,
right.
I saw the movie. I saw the movie first, and then I read the book, and I was just like, all right, that's a pretty cool idea, you know. And then it was like the book was just, I mean, as all most books are. I mean, it's just a lot more in depth. A screenplay is roughly like 75 pages.
Yeah.
And a book's like 400. So tough to like condense it all down. But it was like, there's a lot more to it in the book.
Yeah, that's true.
Ready Player Two, actually, the follow up was like, I don't want to say it was a letdown because there was some cool stuff in it, but it wasn't kind of what I was hoping for.
Yeah.
But it was interesting. It was interesting.
Yeah. And then let's see. And then Aerith is saying Ash has some wicked bling. I mean, it's true. It's true. You could look at if you're looking for a character, you could try to make out what's on Ash's necklaces there. That is a possibility when you're in VR. That's true. Feminist Sexy Wolf is here with the eyes too. Glad you're here with the eyes. You could put ears as well. I will be concerned if there's mouth or tongue. This is just in general. Froggy saying, "Look, a butterfly." I do like butterflies. So now I'm in Orlando, but I used to be in South Florida. They used to have a butterfly garden. I love the butterfly garden. You could walk around
Wow,
and get like butterflies like on your you just walk around and they'll just come and like land on your arm and your fingers and everything. They're actually really
that's pretty
gentle.
cool.
They're kind of creepy to look at when you zoom in though, because they are insects ultimately, right? So they look
Yeah,
really nice when they're like flying and you see their wings, but if you actually see like them like up close, it is kind of like buggy, creepy. Just throwing that out
I
there.
think I think Silence of the Lambs, but I have done the butterfly thing. It was like you walk into this room and it was like super hot. It was like a billion degrees in there,
Yeah,
but it
because it
was
is like a
cool having
greenhouse.
butterflies. Kind of
So,
like,
yep,
oh,
yeah, it's true. And then Buzzsaw is here saying hello all. Hello there, Buzzsaw. Glad to have you
what up, Buzz?
here. So, what we're doing is beginning July 9th, we're going to have kind of a reformatted bunker. So we will be getting to you guys all the information like we do like the news and all of that. However, we do want to make it more interactive with you guys. So one thing we're going to be adding, it seemed to work out really well with what they introduced in the game with the Walking Dead stuff with the Oasis. The Oasis guests, we plan on having some questions for you guys on each episode where you guys can guess what the answer is. It's not going to be the Oasis ones. It's not going to be the ones that are all mapped out. Eric B coming in with the tongue. Eric, I am not to be licked. I don't know about delete. I don't know if
We
delete
wouldn't
wants to
taste
be
that
licked.
great.
Yeah. Yeah, we don't taste that great, Eric. I'm telling you right now, you don't want
Mm.
that tongue out there. We don't taste all that great. I would recommend a different. Okay, I have to be careful how I say this. A different body part associated with one of your main senses. I can't just say body part because then we'll get things like unnecessary things in the chat, right?
Mm.
So a body part associated with a specific sense, right? So eyes, ears, nose, mouth, tongue. Those are like the main ones, right? And just you have to go with eyes or ears. Eric B says my screen tastes like snozberries. So Mako, there's something wrong with yours. Because Eric is able to taste the snozberries. Mako, lick your screen again. That's basically
Just
what
for
it is.
confirmation.
Aerith says Finn tastes like fruit snacks. You You know me way too well. You know me way too well if you know that I taste like
Yeah.
fruit snacks. I'm just throwing that
Yeah.
out there, Aerith. You know me way too well at this point. Yeah, it's not wrong. Although, I have been good about eating the fruit snacks because I'm on a diet heading into the wedding. So I'm like, I'm gonna lose weight. I want to
Oh.
look good. I want to start now, so I have that little bit of extra time, so I don't have to go like super diet weight loss, right? I can do it more gradual because I have a few months. So it's like I'm starting now. I'm trying to be good, and yeah. So I haven't had fruit snacks in like 2 weeks, I think now.
Whoa.
Mm-hmm. They're still in my apartment. I just
Are you
haven't
getting
had the
like
fruit snacks.
shakes or anything like
No,
out of the ordinary?
No, no. I've actually it's not like I can't cut it out. However, I have been like cooking and trying to eat more healthier too. There have been some things I've eaten that are bad. I'll tell you about one of the concoctions I make. I don't know if you saw it in the Discord. I made something that made me ridiculously happy, but we'll talk about that here because I keep getting derailed off of what I want to talk about. So I'll get back on topic. Froggy says no more Krispy Kreme donuts. I am in fact missing a Krispy Kreme lemonade theme right now. They have lemonade themed donuts, lemon filled original glazed. They have a strawberry lemonade donut. Like all these things, I am not having it because I am trying to be good. I'm trying to be good. That is how much I'm trying to be good right now. So yes, that is true. Buzzsaw.
Anyone ever tried
Mhm.
that? Like freezing donuts?
Well,
Like, I'm on a diet right now, but I really want this limited time edition donut.
I'm sure it'll work,
Or
but Krispy Kreme is honestly like best when it comes off the belt. Like if you're just looking for a
yeah,
regular donut, then I'm sure it'll work. Because you can freeze bread, it lasts longer. Sugar for sure you can keep for a while. So I'm sure it'll be this like it'll be a donut, but it's not gonna be like that Krispy Kreme donut unless you like eat it then. So I think you're just yeah, you have to just decide if you're gonna have it now or not.
yeah,
Um,
you got to go for it.
yeah. So Buzzsaw says, so I kind of gave up on my main for a bit. State politics, time suck with Migo, and issues with my alliance was bothering me. Rejoined today for SVS. Suggestions on refunding joy in SOS.
Mm,
Um. So
it's a tough one. That is
the
a really tough one because I mean, it's I'm not going to go ahead and say like, SOS is going to stop being a rinse and repeat game. The Migo is a big time suck. Um, there's so much going on. There's it's just a lot. And if you miss digs, you don't end up that high in the glory ranking and so on and so forth. And you've got to really kind of like stay on top of it to kind of be there. The state politics, it's tough. It's hard. Even myself today, I missed, I'm just getting busier at work. And my son is just like having tryout after tryout to get ready for like summer travel teams and all this other stuff. And it's crazy because he's 7 and this is my life now.
mhm.
um, it's tough. It's once it goes sour, it's tough to like bring it back, unless you really do like a big change of pace, like because the state politics will always be there. There'll always be, you can't make everyone happy. It's just impossible, especially if you have some toxic personalities that you got to deal with. It's tough. And unfortunately, you've seen a lot of people kind of go by the wayside. Um, and not come back, which is tough because as soon as a game becomes a job, it's time to leave. And I'm not there yet, but if you're there yet, it's tough to kind of turn that corner
Are
and make it go
you
back.
sure you're not there? Let me
Yeah,
ask
I'm
you.
not. Yeah,
SVS starts at 5 a.m. Do
yeah.
you feel like you're obligated to wake up at 5 a.m. for your
Oh,
alliance, for your
I
state?
haven't done that. I haven't woken up early for SBS in, let's see, like 475 days in a row logging in, and I've probably woken up early for SPS maybe 3 times. Because I'm a big real life first
Yep.
person. And if If it takes me, fighting that hard to win SVS, then I'm just not interested. I'm
Yeah.
not. And the rewards, it's not like, oh my God, we won SVS and the rewards are so ginormous that it's so worth it. That's not the case. And I'm not big on like being like, oh, my state's better than your state. Obviously. Obviously mine.
Hmm.
Like I don't get off on that either. You know?
Yeah.
I'm
That,
definitely, I would say the one event that gets my pure attention is Res Raid. Res Raid is like my main focus at this point.
yeah. No, and that's what I mean. And Buzzsaw clarify. That's what I figured he meant. He meant refinding joy in SOS, not refunding. But yeah,
Yeah,
so
yeah, yeah,
refinding joy in SOS, and I think Mako has it right. That's what I was gonna say. Is you got to find the part of the game that you enjoy, and play that style of game, right? So when you talk about politics, um, outside of the fact that I rotate into R5 for my alliance, I'm not really associated with the politics. But that's because I'm also not one of the top accounts on the state, right? So I don't really have to get associated with the alliance or with the politics, short of my alliance doing something wrong and then having to make sure that that gets done, right? Because we have state rules, and um, as long as we're not violating state rules, it's like, okay, I don't really have any politics to play. But that is different for someone like Delete, who is the top, if not one of the top like three, right, in your state. So that means when things
yeah.
come up like SVS, when things come up like Capital, like your alliance is reliant on it. Plus, being that you're like one of the strongest in the state, you're gonna have a bigger impact on those politics than other people. So to what you're saying, Bussa, in terms of how to refine the joy, some people enjoy being in that position, that like political, playing the states, understanding all that kind of stuff. And if you don't want to be associated with it, honestly, make sure that you are not in a position where you are like one of those top accounts, because then you're going to get dragged into it, just flat out. You're just going to be dragged into it if you're one of the top accounts. But if you're one of the other ones, you're maybe towards the top, but you're not like one of the top, I don't know, 50, 100 accounts or something where they might rely on you for like SVS and all those things. You have more leeway to just play the game you want to. So that would be another thing, is make sure you find the right alliance, that you find your right dynamic in with your account and however you want to play, and just know how it works. And then Bussa saying, yeah, just my main, despite mailing it in the last month, is top 25. Yeah, I mean, you're still probably going to be dragged into it for a little while there. You'll have the ability to slide out if your account falls back, but in terms of just finding it, yeah, just take a step back from the politics. You're right along the fringe where it's like gonna allow you to move away. Um, Aerith is saying it's 3 a.m. Her time, which I understand. And
Oh,
then also, Sexy Wolf is saying new states are worse and the rules are so strict. I'm gonna tell you, I don't know. Delete, you can tell me. I don't think 359 has extremely strict rules. We have rules, right? It's not open warfare. However, we have rules that I think has kept our state in a position where like everyone the game is cordial, it's fun, all the alliances talk to each other in state chat, like it's I think it's cordial that way because of the rules, because we have rules. And again, I'll go through some of the rules that we have, and you guys can determine whether or not it's strict. Like only one rally on an account on a base, right? I think on a given day or something. 3 solo attacks. If you're gonna do solo attacks on somebody for res, you do 3 solo attacks. Like I like those rules because it, while it still hurts having created a lower level account just to see how that like feels and to truly understand it, it sucks. Like it sucks when you get rallied on, especially if people find out you have res. There's not only like one alliance that's gonna rally you, right? Usually it's like two that manage to find you, and you get rallied, you lose so much, and it's a major setback. Like straight up, it is a major setback when you lose that much like res. So the rules are designed not to prevent you from getting the stuff, but it's to make it so whoever gets hit still has an opportunity to grow. And while it sucked and it was a major setback, it was to the point where I could be like, okay, it's gonna take like an extra week of me farming something, but I can get back to where I was. And I just need to be more cautious. I can bubble. I have like the free 8 hour bubbles, and I'll use those more. Whatever it is, you have the opportunity to continue growth. I think there are other states, and I think with you guys coming from 125, one of the biggest issues was there was like no rules, so people would zero them. If you had res, like, oh, your res was gone. Like, you didn't have the opportunity to grow. And McVenom has said it on the stream before. She'd been zero so many times, she just learned, like, I'm not going to keep res anymore because they keep attacking me. I send my troops out. I don't consider, like, any res I have, I'm going to consider gone. Like, that was just the way you had to do it. So not having to need that mentality, I think, was a huge help for the state. But I don't think
Yeah.
those are strict. I know there are some of the newer states have new rules. So if you guys are in one of them, like you guys are saying, I'd be happy to hear kind of what rules you have that you think are strict. Like, those are the rules we have, and then no soloing on bunkers and facilities, right? You have to do the rally, but those are like the only rules we've had, and I don't think that that's any I don't think that's any difficulty.
No, I mean, the good news is that you had a state that had an opportunity to collaborate, and be functional in that regard. Like we in 125, it's all about the people you're with, right? You're in this, you're basically locked into this section or group of people, and we just had someone in our state or an alliance in our state that just wanted to say, hey, and their reasoning was sound. You don't want to go ahead and tell people what to do with their money. If someone wants to, play the game and pay for the game, they should be able to do kind of whatever they want because it's their money and so on and so forth. My stance to those people were, hey, you don't realize that once a player goes away, they don't come back. So you're actually just destroying yourself, even though by playing that way. It's
Yeah.
like, yeah, you should have the right to do whatever you want, but there always has to be like that limit because this one person and a couple people, like, they didn't have that minute, that like limit to it at all. There was just no worry whatsoever about just completely losing, 250,000 troops, from attacks just because, and then rebuilding them all,
Yeah.
like immediately. And just like, what? It's like the only people that are winning in that scenario is King's Group,
Yeah.
but they didn't really see it that way. It was only one person that felt like that, but it was like everyone hitched themselves to that person's wagon and was just like, yeah, this is great. He's on my team, you
Yeah.
know? It was like, that's why it's okay. And everyone was just like, oh yeah, no, totally. Whatever he says is the way to go. And it kind of ruined things. It made us very battle hardened. I mean, not for nothing, but 125 has got a pretty good record in SBS with or without my help. Most of the time, it's without my help because I'll come in like super late, not really kind of be there. And we've actually been doing like some of our more active players, stronger players in law, kind of going to another alliance to help out to make sure that we kind of do take it down. So um, that's kind of what's been happening in 125 because it's just my Saturdays have become, like tomorrow morning, it's wake up, I've got a baseball game. That's 2.5 hours. Then after that, I get home, it's like eat lunch, then it's, go ahead and take Avery to dance, my daughter to dance. So it's just like, wow, it's a lot. It's a
Yeah.
lot. I was like, I can't just, completely just lock in for 12 hours and be like, hey, life, peace. See you guys later,
Yeah. No, it's
and
true.
it's very hard.
And Aerith is saying in chat, that's how you learn naps make weak states. I'm gonna I won't disagree, but I think I'm gonna look at it slightly different. I don't think it's the naps that make weak states. I think it's the free for all warfare that causes more raid spending. I think that's what ultimately boosts states. Because I still remember when we first did 359, and here's why I make the distinction. When we first had 359, right? There was someone who went around, and Delete probably remembers this, is when we first started out, he literally went around like zeroing everyone because honestly, and I'll just say it, whoever was part of that was like upset that they were getting turned down by the females in our alliance. Straight up, the dude was trying to hit on the females in our alliance, got turned down, got pissed off, so told the person that had like the highest power in our state at that time to basically zero RSG. Like that
Yeah.
was the background for it. There was no other reason. So he hit us because he had a hurt ego. And the other guy was hitting it because he was just kind of going along with it. So he started
Yeah.
attacking and zeroing us. At the time I was still free to play and we were getting hit, and I swear I was within like a few seconds of pulling out the credit card and just losing my shit and just like just like uber wailing, right? But what that did was make me realize like this game has like two different paths that a state can take, which is why I don't disagree with what you're saying, Aerith. I think naps as a whole do make your state a little bit weaker. But I think the reason it makes it a little bit weaker is because those states don't have as much warfare all the time, so there isn't the incentive for them to constantly spend and try to gain an advantage over somebody else, right? Versus in a state like Deletes, you know that the top guy is always spending, so if you're the top guy, you feel this pressure in your alliance to spend. Or if you're like the third alliance and you're the top guy there, you're like, okay, I can't let them get that far away. I'm just going to be too underpowered. So then you're spending in order to try and protect everyone else. So this game is ultimately built on rage spending. Flat out, it's based on rage spending. The fact that you don't want to be hit, you don't want your friends, your alliance to be hit, you spend in order to try and protect. Versus in like 359, where you have these states, yes, you get the naps, you get like these peaceful periods, but what that does is build camaraderie, I think, between the state, but it doesn't necessarily lead to a very strong state because they're not, as to what you're saying, like battle hardened, because they're not always fighting, they're not always spending in order to get that little bit of an advantage. I wouldn't be even surprised if some of the people do not fully understand like the combat mechanics because they're not always attacking. They're not sure like what kind of ratios, like they're unless they're like researching it. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if people in our state don't understand that and they could have one of the top HQs, top like troops and everything. But it's two different ways of seeing it. One is building the state, the other is building your state for warfare. And it is kind of that divergence that you have to decide what your state is going to go, right? If you have that state with naps, I think you end up with much more camaraderie within the state. Like, I think based on what you guys always talk about 125 versus what we have in 359, I'm like, 359 is a very friendly state. Like, I love talking to everybody in the state. There's no, like, alliance that I'm necessarily, like, angry with. It's just, we do what we need to. We fight when we need to, but we don't fight outside of those times, right? So we fight during Capital whenever we're doing that. We fight during Kill Event. That's still open game, although some of us have, like, alliances and, like, friendships and stuff. So you don't necessarily target specific ones, but there's those time periods that we use to attack. Versus if you build towards just having a strong state for warfare purposes, you're attacking all the time because you're trying to always keep that advantage for yourself, for Capital Clash, for your state, for SVS, right? There's a whole bunch of different things. I think Apex was on here when he talked about the new rule that like our state came up with for Capital, right? Which was that they didn't want to stay up all night. So they were only going to figure out who was going to be the top in the first half and then let other alliances fight for Capital because the top alliances didn't want to be up. Like that doesn't happen in like the uber competitive. They're going to want they're going to want governor. Right?
Right.
So it's just an example of how you can go like two different routes. And while you can view it as naps make states weak, I will view it as naps make the states friends versus the states that don't have naps are just becoming battle hardened. They're going to be better at warfare, but I see a lot more easy way to burn out because your state is going to be constantly burning, zeroed. Like you can easily get frustrated. That's why a lot of 125 came to 359. why McVenom basically left 125. Is because
Yeah.
it was just not fun when you're constantly going through that. So if you're at the top, then you're happy as a clan. But you destroy a lot of the lower ones because that's who you're kind of like preying on, right? In order to get everything, and it becomes unfortunate. Yeah, and right, like I said, I'm not arguing that, Mako. You're 100% right. Complacency creates weakness, which is why I don't disagree with what Eris said, which is that naps make weak states. But I think the state becomes friendlier. So going back to what Buzzsaw is originally saying, like, how do you re-find your joy in SOS, right? Sometimes it's out of your control. It's based on how your state is, right? If your state is a state built on warfare, you have to kind of find a way to adapt. If your state is built more on like the friendships, then you have to find your way to adapt for that, and hopefully your personality matches that. There does need to be balance, Eric. It's just really hard to find it, right? Because
Yeah.
the battle hardened states are going to be the ones that are always at war, and the top people are going to excel. Like we've seen that in 359. Like we don't have a great record, and typically I've seen what happens. Our top people are behind in research, in gear, all of that compared to the top of the other one. And that's probably because their state's like always fighting, or they have somebody that's just spending like crazy. But I don't want people in my state to spend just for that purpose. Like I have fun in SVS otherwise. I mean, but granted, I'm just like suiciding troops at towers, so I'm not like trying. So I will give that context, but like I'm not really asking anyone else to spend to make us competitive. Like if they want to spend, great. If they don't want to spend, great. I have fun playing with the people in the top alliances. That's where I find my enjoyment. But it all depends on what you want. So the key is to find a state, an alliance that fits your needs. Problem, you don't get a choice in the state. The state kind of builds itself and you kind of get stuck, right? And this is another thing that state migration could potentially solve, which is that you can find states that fit better with the way that you want. I can tell you
Yeah.
that this is different type of game altogether, right? But World of Warcraft had different kinds of servers. They had PvP, they had PvEs. But as the game progressed, like initially you picked a server, your characters were on that server. As the game progressed, it became very obvious that certain servers were more competitive than others. There were just more top guilds on there that were beating the content faster. There were more guilds that were
Oh,
doing PvP within their server and just dominating it, right? So other people were not able to do it. They then released the ability for you to move your character from a server, and they gave I think one free, and then you could pay in order to move your character into a different server. Partially also because of the fact that some servers were overloaded because they had the top people. Some people wanted to play with those top alliances, so they just had really crowded servers. But they just allowed everyone to distribute. Everyone
right.
distributed and everyone kind of got back into a level playing field. Like they either joined like a new server and kind of like took their character there, so they were kind of building up from that. But some of the higher level guilds actually like went together into a different server so they could be competitive with each other. Like literally, so like the top two guilds at the time were like Death and Taxes and Drama in World of Warcraft. I don't know how many of you guys know all this, but they literally migrated to like the same server so that they could compete, and they would compete on the same server. So it's not like the forum saying we won here, we won here. They were on the same server. They would work together at times. They would go against each other at times because they were world bosses. Like things balance out when you give players the opportunity to move around. Like they'll find their way around into the correct state. That's why I'm really waiting for them to do migration, because it does solve more than just what I think is the biggest issue, which is like states that are just unfortunately dying, getting down to probably about like 300, 400 active players at any given time, which isn't really a lot, right? That's like 3 or 4 full alliances, but distributed, so you
Yeah.
probably have like 8 to 10 of like half. Um, so that's why it's so important that they come up with a solution for migration and just allowing people to find their fun. So, Bussa, the unfortunate answer is you have to find your fun in the state that you're in right now. But hopefully, there's an opportunity for you to move. But the one thing you can't control is how your state works. The only thing you can control is your reaction to how the state works and what you do in order to find your fun, which may not be the answer you're looking for, but it's just kind of the unfortunate truth. So if your state has a lot of politics, you have to find a way to either stay out of the politics or just let the politics happen and just enjoy the game for what it is, right? Um, that's unfortunately pretty much it.
Yeah, I mean, I think I think the biggest thing that could just come out of it, just to kind of go back to buzzsaws, or even like if you were looking to plan like the perfect state, you need some rules. You do. You gotta. It can't just be whatever for whatever. Unless you're getting together and like starting your own Discord, and it's like, okay, if you want to play this way, join this server. Like join this state, and let's go. Like if you wanted to do that and just have an all out craziness, scenario and you signed up for that, that's one thing. But if you gonna go in and you're just like a casual player and you're just like, you're basically just like, nah, I'm done. I'm not gonna do this. Either you'll restart another base and try and find new people, or you'll just kind of be like, you'll just quit the game, and not play it at all. But I would actually like to hear from the crowd or from the people that watch this and put them in comments and like, what are the best rules that you've seen? Because I feel like the later states that had rules were because the people that were in them were made up with people that were jumping there from another state. That's like, yeah, I didn't really know what I was either. I didn't really know what I was doing when I built that settlement. So now I know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go ahead and start a new one. Or like, I got to get away from this group of people, whatever, political, whatever the case may be. And they just want to jump and like the game. It's probably a good amount of both. But I feel like those were the people that kind of came up. And I remember the guy that was like destroying RSG in the beginning he was like, this is my sixth settlement. I'm like, what? I'm like, why would you do that? But B, like, how do you even have time for that? And it's just you start to see how many people are just like, because maintaining multiple accounts is not easy, especially if you're doing like a farm.
He spent on that one.
God. Oh man. It was like, dude, you're pretty strong for this early in the state. I was like, where did I stop? I was at level 29.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it was the early days of the state. And he was like, it was like a 24 and he was like a 20. He was already at 28. And I was just like, all right, wow. And he was just crushing people. But, you got to find that happy medium. It all depends. It really does depend. If you have a millionaire in your state that just wants to destroy everybody and just watch the world burn, unfortunately everything's going to burn. But if you get a good group of people that are like, no, let's go ahead and make this cool, where you don't have a crazy amount of naps, but you still do have fighting where everyone's trying to learn the game. Eventually, you will win out. You will be better for it. To be the top in any game, you have to have a large collection of spenders. You just do. Mm-hmm. Like the people that play each other in Res Raid for the $10,000 cash, in the Res League, like those are all people that have spent a lot of money, that jumped into those states, respent again, and started a new account. That wasn't like a fresh player that was starting out of the blue, So to be a top player in anything, you got to spend, and you got to have a group of spenders, and that's just it. So, but you don't need to spend to enjoy the game, though. You really don't. You really don't.
So, I'm seeing a bunch of things in the chat, so I'll reference this, and I'll circle back to where I was starting from. I told you, ultimately, I get back to where I started. I go on to tangents, I get distracted, but I'll come back. So, Buzzsaw saying it's probably more personalities than politics. That can definitely happen, and again, a way that state migration can help with that. John Moran said, question, Finn, what did I do to get my name on the screen? You became a subscriber to the channel. You became a member. So that's for anyone that becomes a YouTube member, Johnny. So that's why your name is green. So because you were the last one to kind of rejoin membership on our YouTube channel, that is why your name is there. You are the most recent. You're the most recent one. So thank you, Johnny. Johnny, longtime RSG follower and plays D&D and everything with us. So there you go. Mako saying best rules: number 1, never talk about Flight Club, and number 2, shield or bird.
Shield or bird.
I can't argue with that. Sexy Wolf, my state has a few players with more than one maxed account on the same state. Yeah, it's not surprising. There are some people that I'm sure when they get invested and they want to go out all on a state, yeah, they'll double up and have 2 accounts. So that's not surprising. Aerith 500 has 5 rules. No tile hitting in the hive. Max 3 hits or 1 rally in 24 hours unless there is a mutual dispute. No attacks during events. No rules in KE, and limit 3 bunkers and 2 facilities. I think ours is the same. And then we do NAP after KE, CC, SVS, and SVS prep. Those ones are a little. I'm a little torn on those, but a little bit on that last one, and I'll explain why. But this leads, I think, to what we were planning on doing. Delete next month. So, getting to an announcement about the bunker this month. So, if you guys are not aware, this month is my birthday month. So, for this month, I am doing a little bit of extra traveling and moving around. So, for the from after today until July 9th, there will unfortunately be no bunker. We will be back on July 9th with a whole new reformatted bunker for you, okay? Including basically everything we are talking about right now. We want to do more with the chat, more with you guys. So one of the things we're going to be doing is the trivia, right? We mentioned that. So when we come back on July 9th, be ready for a segment where we'll just go through trivia and you guys can answer the questions in chat. And the other part is we are going to be having either in chat or on stream debates with people from the community, which means we will have a topic and try to come up with something as a general consensus with those of you in chat. The state rules thing is a perfect example where we could go through, and I will tell you right now, we can do that for the first one, Delete. Maybe we can collect them in the RSG Discord in the State of Survival. Yeah. What we can have is everyone place the rules in their state that they think are good, right? We can collect them all, and when we're back on July 9th, the first thing we'll do is go through the rules and see whether or not you think those are good or bad rules. And let's come up with what we would consider the ideal rules for a new state, right? I don't think anyone has really gone through the effort of trying to come up with the rules that are best to build a state, right? So with all of you guys here in chat, we combine that together. Let's build that rules that you guys have all seen, that a lot of people have experienced. We will try to build that and work together for that. So that would be one example. Another example would be more on the debate, where we would like to have 2 people on stream. We would give them a topic, knowing that they would be on different answers, and the chat can vote on who they think is correct. Just like when we started off, which character would you want to be in SOS if you had the ability to VR as that character? Would it be Becca? Would it be Ash? Would it be Rusty? I mean, you could be any of them. I kind of would go with Nicola because hopefully I can get access to all of his electronics and try to build something, right? So all of these options are there for you. So this is what we would want to do. We want to bring, and we will try to bring like 2 of you guys on stream if you guys are so interested, and join us on stream and do the debates live. So that would be exactly what we are working on. And that will be back again on July 9th. I know, Froggy, you said no. Yeah, I apologize. I know. I'm going to be traveling a lot during the next little bit. So that's why I had to just kind of let you know that, that we're going to be kind of delayed a little bit. So, yeah. So, but hey, I have an idea. There's this really smart, funny gamer who plays SOS that you should have on the bunker. She's a fiery southern gal named McVenom. We will take that under advisement. I will find this McVenom on Discord and I'll send her an application to join.
Guest starring Judge.
Yeah. If you guys are not familiar, McVenom has so now that the COVID stuff has passed, her kids are doing more activities, and her kids are doing a lot more activities now, and it makes it more difficult for McVenom because obviously family comes first. A lot of things that McVenom is planning on is like doing right now with her family makes it a little bit difficult for her. So there's a couple. She does still play the game, but she doesn't play as much Grim because of all the. She hasn't played any games recently, actually. She just had a hard time because of how much time it takes up because family comes first, and her kids are doing all kinds of extracurricular activities. So she just unfortunately hasn't had time. So Eric, don't be like that. don't be like that. She will come back and kill you.
Oh yeah, she will. Wow, wow. There is no wrath like that.
It's true. So she will be hopefully back and joining us for some of this. I have told her. So when we come back on July 9th, the big change, of course, is we'll have the format. We'll have like questions. We'll have more chat interaction. The other thing too, don't forget, start time is going to be 8 p.m. Eastern time. It's going to be 8 p.m. instead of 9 p.m. Eastern time. So we're going to start 1 hour earlier. And yeah, so that'll be that's kind of the update for you guys with regards to what is happening with the bunker. I don't know if it's up to Delete. I don't know if during our regular bunker time, if you wanted to hang out in the Discord for anyone that wanted to chat and just have like SOS chats with whoever wants to be there during our other bunker time. I leave that to you because I won't be around, especially next week. The week after, I may be there if you want to do like little Discord sessions.
Oh yeah. I mean, if I'm around, I definitely I'll shoot the crap with just about anyone.
Okay.
So if I got the time, but yeah, at me, bro, and Chica.
There you go. So
and we'll talk.
So maybe like an informal bunker chat in our Discord. Delete will be there. I will try to be there next week. I'll be there. If anything, I'll be late. I've never done Top Golf before. I don't know if you've done Top Golf.
Golf is so much fun.
So that is where I'm gonna be next Friday. So
wow.
I will be late.
Wait, there's one in Orlando?
There's like 2 over here.
Wow.
So I will be at Top Golf, and that's why I'm gonna be late. So
so much fun.
Yeah.
And it's expensive though, but it's like, not really about the golf. It's kind of like I kind of like, as a golfer, I did it as like, it's like bowling. You ever go to like where they jazzed up bowling and they turn the lights off and they've got all these like laser shows going on, the music's blaring, and you're like, this isn't bowling that I remember, That's kind of what Top Golf is. There's a bunch of foods, getting drinks nonstop. You're hitting the ball every now and then, and you have no idea where it's going. You're just like, hey, all right. So it's fun. It's really, I actually did it for my wife surprised me, and that's what we did for my 40th birthday, and I had kick ass time. Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah, so yeah, it's kind of a combination birthday thing because there's a few other people that have birthdays around the same time, so it's just kind of like a get
very cool
like that. So, and
yeah, the food's surprisingly good.
Okay, I'm looking forward to that then. Mako said he'd join for a bit. For sure, Mako. And we need an update on Little Mako too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you can update everyone on Little Mako, how he's doing. Because Little Mako was adorable last time I saw him. I assume he's still adorable. So, but yeah, so that is the kind of the update for the bunker. So a little bit of a shorter stream today as we're going through that, but we will talk a little bit about the developer notes. Now, shout out to them. We talked last week and we said we really hope that they would do this every week because it wasn't consistent before. They came out with one this week. And the last one was last week. So they do seem to be pretty consistent with that. So that is definitely good.
Yeah, which is nice. Is nice.
It definitely is. So let's read some of these and then we'll probably wrap it up a little bit early today. So first one, when will Migo season start in my state? So In the past 2 months, we gradually opened Migo feature in a group of chosen states. On June 21st, the last batch of old states will have access to Migo. States 565 to 582, state 457 to 474, state 331 through 360. Finally. And then in the future, all the states meet 13-week state age requirements will have the Migo feature then. So there you go. So 13 weeks of a state, they will get their Migo. So that is the plan. So yeah, there we go. Next one, why states with Migo feature were matched up with Migo states in warfare? I think it meant weren't.
Yeah.
So the answer is we are sincerely sorry for the matchup issues, as all the old states older than 13 weeks will have Migo feature in the middle of June, and then state warfare will stand on the same ground. As to new states, their first state warfare starts after they unlock Migo feature, so the Migo bonus won't influence fairness. So effectively, because there was just a couple of weeks in between when everyone was going to get it, right? Like it was like a 1 month thing. They were just basically decided not to update the algorithm, wait for everything to catch up on the 21st, and then everything would resolve itself, right? Again, not the best answer, but it's a truthful answer. It's one that I can understand. So at least I can respect them for that. I don't think that was the correct way to go about it, but it makes sense, right? That they didn't want to change anything just for kind of a 1 month difference, and then they would do it. So
yeah. It's probably the most cost effective, thing on their end to do.
Right. Okay, next one. Compensation for game issues is not good. Recently, we received a lot of feedback on compensation for online issues. In order to improve player game experience, we are working on a more reasonable and systematic bug compensation plan, which could better compensate players for their losses due to online bugs. And we will start to implement this plan in 1 month. Hopefully, in future game compensations will not be an issue that affects the player's experience. I will say that I like this response. I will also say that this game has been one of the more generous games in compensating for the issues. Compared to other mobile games, I think they have been more generous, but particularly to the players that were not affected, right? I think this is more concerning the people that were actually affected by the bug, that their reward was not compensatory to what they lost, right? Because sometimes you lose a rank in like an event, and there's really no way to gauge that. So they give these general, like, I'm sorry things, which works for probably about 95% of the players that get it. But those 5% that are affected are not getting it. So I do give them a lot of credit, actually, for what they've done with compensation and what they're going to do. Like, the fact that they're even looking at it, I think, is a good thing. So in that case,
so many other players, so many other games are just like, we only give compensation to the players that actually complain about it.
Yep.
Like, you'll just open up the game and it'll be like, here's like res and maps and stuff like that, random things that, like, they're not, it's not super monetary value,
right?
But it's something,
Yep. I will be right back. Give me 1 minute here.
Yeah.
You keep the people entertained, Elite.
So because the developer, actually, I really do appreciate the developer feedback that we're getting now, because that was something that we'd always been asking for. The other one was like trying to get a developer actually on the show. Unfortunately, that never materialized. But the fact that the developers are actually stepping up and reaching out and saying things, and you can clearly see that they're putting forth an effort into trying to do stuff is appreciated. It really is. I mean, they're coming up on that July deadline of like when they were going to do the state merge migration idea. So everyone's kind of like on bated breath trying to figure that out. But we'll see. The every Friday update is pretty cool. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I am happy that they're doing that. And then, did you read the last one, Delete, or do I need to read that one? I'll read the last one.
Go for it. No, I didn't read it.
Okay. So last one that they had in the developer feedback. How could I know when new hero generation will be released in my state? And the response, for the moment, the developers are trying to connect the world events Migo feature with the pace of new hero release. For states which have not yet entered Migo season, the new hero generation comes when Migo starts. For states already with the Migo feature, the new hero generation may come when the world event season 2 starts. We will share more about this when the new season of the world event soon begins. Okay, so basically, stuff is coming. That's basically what they're saying. So again, I'm fine with that. We don't need all the details. They kind of gave a brief glimpse into something they're working on. Um, Overall, I mean, I think this was a pretty good developer feedback. I don't think it's necessarily
Yeah.
everything we wanted to hear, but I think overall it was pretty good.
Yeah. Like, because that was a question everyone's asking. Like, everyone wants to kind of participate in Migo for
Yeah.
more than 20 minutes. But you
Right.
359 got it for.
Yeah, I know. Like we had like 2 hours of digging and then it was gone.
That's unfortunate. But I thought it was good. I thought it was good. It was a solid step forward.
Yeah.
I mean, people are still going to be like, oh, what's going to be next? That's the question I get actually most often is Hero Gear going to come next, or is it going to be badges on your Chief Gear, or on your gear, or is it going to be Plasma 5, 6, 7, and 8, or 6, 7, and 8 on there? So everyone's kind of waiting for that, but hopefully neither one of those things happen anytime soon.
Yeah, I know. All right, guys. So that is the developer feedback. That is a little bit of an update on what is happening with the bunker. Yeah, I think we're
It's
gonna miss.
exciting.
It
It's
is.
exciting.
Yeah,
We
Delete and I
dropped
are
a
gonna
hammer
work
on
on a
you
lot.
guys.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we dropped a hammer on you guys, but it's going to be worth it. It's going to be
Yes.
worth it.
I will tell you, since we're gonna be gone so long, we will plan a giveaway. Delete. We will plan a giveaway on July 9th. So for all of you that are there, make sure you plan for July 9th. We're going to have a giveaway as a return of the bunker for episode 54. So yes, please drop by. I'm going to set up the event early, actually. So you guys will have that YouTube link. Just keep it handy. July 9th. We'll set that up here later. Yeah, I think the only other thing I will say, this is more selfish, Delete. I really wish there was a way that the devs would be able to allow me to get my account plus a duplicate account in a test environment and let me do testing. I realized, like, as I was reviewing things earlier, right, and I have my plan to kind of boost up to Plasma 3, right, I was looking at the troops, and I swear, every time I look at the troops, I feel like tier 10 riders and hunters are better than tier 11 if I can get them to Plasma 3. Because of the
Oh,
fact that they bypass, like, they go directly after infantry. And then
yeah.
you get their special abilities at Plasma 3 to attack the infantry directly. Like, I would spend so much time testing. Like, we've had like the biggest complaint, which is that nobody knows the mechanics and all that kind of stuff. Give me an opportunity to fight my own account. Same with Delete, right? If you can get our 2 accounts on a just isolated state environment, whatever, and then give us a duplicate of our own accounts and let us attack each other, I promise you, Delete, I will give you like a spreadsheet of all the different things to test. We will do tests. We will figure everything out. We will figure out like compositions. We'll figure out damage, everything, right? And that way, you don't have to release anything, and we can do it. We can even stream our tests and do it with the community, right? We could have a lot of fun with this. So, just as hopefully something for when we return, um, if the devs would be able to do that. Exactly, Sexy Wolf. That's exactly right, Mr. Feminist. That is exactly what we were looking for. And I do play Clash of Clans, and I love the fact that you could do that. Um, so just something I'm hoping for when we come back on the 9th. If we can make that announcement, that would be awesome. Just saying.
That would be fantastic.
Yes. So, Delete, any parting words for our lovely viewers before we return on July 9th? I see a question just came in too. But how would you
Um,
prioritize investment in hero gear, chief gear, or badges? and what's more bang for the buck, literally? Can
I would
I
probably
take a
go,
stab?
yeah, go for it.
From what I've heard, the answer is balance. Like if you become imbalanced, you're not really getting it because each of them gives a boost in the stat. So if you're not balanced, you're paying more for less of a stat than if you upgraded something lower. So I think the answer is to keep everything balanced as much as you
Yeah.
can. And if you're doing it in order, I think it's hero gear, then badges, and then chief gear. But you do those in the order of trying to keep everything balanced. But you can tell me if that's the way you do it.
Yeah. I mean, Hero Gear is pretty big. I mean, they're all big. It really does depend. Um, and the events have been changing so much, like where, Hero Gear is a little bit tougher to get, through the game. Um, Chief Gear, you could kind of get Chief Gear too. I would say I would definitely go with balance. Because the step up from like medium to high isn't really that big. From having nothing in one thing to having something is pretty huge. Um, you definitely want to kind of spend across the board. The easiest one to kind of go for is just like your chief level. Make sure you don't just disregard that. Get your chief level as high as possible because those are pretty significant bumps at the end when you've got a level 60 chief. Um, so you can build your talent tree as much as possible because that's huge. Definitely do everything in balance. Like I never overstacked. Like if I had a when I was doing it, rider was the last thing that I did. Infantry was always the first. As a rally lead, my infantry, I would go 100% infantry at time just to make sure that it kind of landed. I always kind of when I stacked my base or when I built my base, it would always be, infantry and hunters first. Hunter would be the primary attack vehicle for trap. So this way I can maximize my in-game rewards as much as possible. Um, and infantry would be first. So this way, when I was doing capital or it was even before SVS, we can hold a tower for that much longer, or my attacks or, the rally attacks that I was doing because of the strength of my infantry, would basically land and hit, to the point where we would win the rally, but all of my infantry died in the attack, but we would win the rally and I can rejoin with the proper stats. So it actually worked out really well. Um, but you definitely want to do things, in order. Don't have a level 3 red, gear in something and have another part of it naked. You don't want to do that. You definitely want to do it across the board. Best value, hero gear is probably the most expensive piece. Chief gear was so much less expensive than hero gear. Hero gear is like, wow.
Can I say?
It's
I'll also say maybe from a different perspective.
yeah,
Chief Gear has one other thing that's a little bit potentially better. It's the one that you see whenever you attack, right? When you attack
yeah,
somebody and you get that battle report, when you see that person has red gear instead of like gold gear, like that is something that makes an impact.
oh yeah,
There is kind of that mentality benefit of chief gear, even though it may be like the cheapest one to upgrade. There is a
yeah.
benefit to that too. So I don't want to throw
No,
that
yeah.
out, but that
With
hero gear.
I mean, it definitely like will shake you to your core if you're hitting someone and they're all red and you're not. You're
Yep.
like, well, we're not going to go after this tower again.
Yep.
Like it's just not worth battling.
Yep.
It's just not. If you're not even close and your like research is all wonky and not completed and everything else. I mean, you can definitely put up a bigger front when your chief gear is all squared away.
Right.
So I would have to go chief gear for the best value. Hero gear's pretty important though.
Yeah.
Like hero gear will go ahead and that'll win a rally for you. And people always sleep on research. You know, make sure you're just not like, oh yeah, well I've got another 39 days until this research piece is done. Reset your talents, do your research, get that done because it's a lot. You know, always invest in the biggest thing in this game is always invest in things that don't go away.
Yep.
It's the easiest thing to say.
And while we are just going away for a little bit of time, we will be back July 9th. So we appreciate the time that you guys invested in us. See, full circle right there, Delete. Full circle.
Yeah, exactly. Enjoy your Fridays without us,
Yes.
for a little bit. Get out there, get out in town, have a good time, and then realize that, hanging out with us is way more fun. And see you back here in a couple weeks.
Let me make sure this works. Make sure you guys are on our Discord if you're not. Because like Delete may do the chats. I'm gonna try and drop by. At least maybe not this week, but the following week. So make sure you guys do drop by there. So yeah. So I think with that, for myself, for Delete, thank you guys so much for everything so far. 53 episodes in the books. July 9th, the return of the bunker. Be ready, be scared, and be happy. So everyone,
Love it.
have a great rest of your month. Hope you guys all have a great SVS as it's coming, and we will see you next time.
And come back with all your fingers. July 4th is right around the corner. Make sure you keep all those, all your digits.
Don't worry, Aerith. We will be back. We will be back. Don't worry. But with that, we are signing out. Take care, guys.
Rock on, Alan.